You could start reading from like the day you bring him home. You don't have to wait for any particular age. However, I will say I did not start reading with my newborn right away. When he first came home, I was so overwhelmed with learning how to breastfeed, figuring out sleep, normal postpartum recovery things, that reading to my newborn sadly took the back burner. In those early days, my wonderful husband did read our high contrast book to our baby, but I did not read him a book for ages. I have a 5-year journal that will ask me a question a day, and it's specifically formatted for moms. Around the time that he was about 10 or so weeks old, the journal asked me, what is a habit that you want to start? And my answer that I wrote down is I want to start reading to my baby more. And as odd as this might sound, I kind of felt overwhelmed with how do I fit reading in to my son's life. I was a stay-at-home mom, so you would think I would have countless hours just to sit around and read books to him. But with how short his wake windows were at that time, I felt like all we were doing was waking up, eating, which was taking a while a lot back then for him to eat, and then we maybe had 20-30 minutes before he had to turn around and go back to sleep again. I needed a system, a routine, a way to help me get those books in without overwhelming me still in that newborn stage. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 ways that you can start reading with your baby that I have learned over the course of these 7 months. Tip number 1, keep books throughout your house. As you can see over here, I have a bunch of books on my nursing cart.
I also keep books in this basket by our fireplace.
And you'll see we have his bookshelf here in his room as well. Just think about where you're going to be hanging out with your baby and put books in those locations. My next tip is habit stacking. So basically thinking of things that you're already doing in your day-to-day routine and adding books to those habits.
For example, tummy time. I knew that from the very, very beginning, I wanted my son to do tummy time from the get-go. That way he wouldn't hate it later. So we did it in very, very small, like 30-second bursts when he was a newborn. But we would always prop up the one high contrast book that we owned and let him look at those pictures while we were doing tummy time. Since I already had that routine in place, I would just eventually start reading the book to him, or at least talking about the pictures, like let's count how many cats are on this page. Adding reading to your tummy time routine is one way you can work that into your day-to-day.
So another way you can habit stack books with your normal routine is adding books to your bedtime routine. But you know, for newborn stage, he's sleeping so much all the time, there wasn't really, or at least we were really bad at making a good distinction between this is you going to sleep for a nap and this is you going to sleep for bedtime. I nursed him to sleep a lot in those early days, and I don't regret that at all. And eventually, like around the time that he was like 12 weeks old, what we would do is my husband would read him Goodnight Gorilla, and then I would feed him to sleep. And then around the time that he was 5 months, we decided to stop feeding to sleep, and that's the time that we started introducing our bedtime book routine that we're currently doing. I'll put a link in the cards to that video and down in the description below so you can see our current bedtime book routine. The last way I recommend habit stacking books into your routine is with when you feed your baby. And I'll show you my current nursing cart setup where I have a bunch of books, and then I'll tell you what I did when he was more little, how I combined reading with feeding back then. Back in the newborn days, I did use this shelf for other things, but I always kept stashed over here in the corner my 2 Mother Goose nursery rhyme board books. That way, after I finished feeding him, I could grab one of these 2 books and just read a couple of poems then and there. They didn't have to be very long. I didn't have to do the whole thing. I could just do 1 or 2. As his interests would allow, and that helped build a habit of reading books to my son at that time period. My last tip is it's totally okay to repeat the same books over and over and over again. When my baby was really little, we only read our high contrast book multiple times a day, every day of the week. That was the one book that I had on hand that I was able to read to my baby back in that stage. Nowadays, we have those books on that nursing cart like I showed you, and we'll go through those books multiple times in the week. Sometimes we'll read them multiple times a day. That's the thing, your baby doesn't care if you read the same book over and over and over again. I listened to a podcast. I think it was on the Read Aloud Revival podcast, but I'll link the episode down below. And they were talking about the benefits of reading the same picture books over and over again to your children. And if that's beneficial when your kids are older, then it's definitely fine when your babies are little and learning language. Repeating books can be, repeating books can actually be pretty beneficial for them. However, if you're going to read the same books over and over and over again to your baby, you want to make sure you have good ones in your home library. So check out this video right here where I share 5 of my favorite board books that I love reading over and over again to my baby on repeat. My name is Kara and I share board book recommendations to help you build your baby's first library. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video. Bye!